The scent of roasted meat drifted on the humid air, thick and heady, making Captain Elias Ward's stomach churn, not with hunger but with unease. He crouched behind a tangle of low-growing vines at the edge of a clearing, staring wide-eyed at the scene before him. The local tribe, humanoid, though covered in swirls of ochre paint and beads of bone, had constructed a towering ceremonial pyre in the center of the village. At its apex, bound and gagged, was a small alien girl with pale cerulean skin and 4 trembling arms. Her golden eyes scanned the clearing wildly, and her soft cries were muffled by the thick cloth in her mouth. She was no older than 10 if he had to guess. And they were preparing to cook her alive. Elias had landed on the jungle moon of Cathora during a solo recon mission. It was supposed to be uninhabited, marked as a potential candidate for terraforming. But the malfunctioning comms beacon he'd been sent to locate turned out to be the least of his concerns. He hadn't expected tribal life. Certainly not ancient rites of what looked disturbingly like ritual sacrifice. He watched, fists clenched, as the tribespeople danced in a frenzy, chanting in a guttural dialect his translator implant could barely interpret. From what he could catch, they called the girl a sky witch and curse-bearer. Some blamed her for the blight that had hit their crops. Others claimed her kind brought sickness. None of them knew what they were talking about. She was likely a stranded child from one of the lost refugee convoys, the ones hit by the wraithstorms 2 years ago. She looked like a Saley, an endangered species known for their peaceful ways and deep telepathic empathy. If they killed her, not only would it be genocide, it might provoke something worse. Elias made his decision. He slipped his pulse pistol from its holster and stepped into the clearing. "Hey!" he bellowed, voice sharp as a whip. The chanting ceased. Every face turned toward him, painted, confused, and then quickly hostile. Elias raised his gun. "Let her go. Now." The chieftain, a towering figure with bone piercings along his jawline, stepped forward, staff thudding into the ground with menace. "Outsider. This does not concern you. She's just a child." Elias barked. "You harm her, and you bring judgment on your entire tribe." The chief's lip curled. "She is cursed. She is death. She called fire from the sky. We must purify her." Elias didn't waver. "I'll take her. I'll remove her from your land. No one has to get hurt." For a long, tense moment, no one moved. Then the chief gave a subtle nod. 3 warriors rushed Elias. He fired instinctively, hitting one in the thigh and another in the shoulder. The third got close enough to shove him, sending them both tumbling. They grappled, and Elias smashed the butt of his pistol into the attacker's skull. By the time he stood up, the clearing had erupted into chaos. He sprinted for the pyre, climbed the rickety wooden frame, and with his knife slashed through the girl's bonds. She collapsed into his arms, whimpering. He tossed her over his shoulder and jumped down, barely missing a flurry of spears. "Go!" he shouted, ducking behind the tree-line. Blaster fire lit up the trees behind him. The girl clung to him, shivering. Thank you," she whispered in broken galactic. "Hold on," Elias muttered. "We're not out of this yet." They didn't stop running for hours. When night fell, they found a cave high in the cliffs. From its mouth, Elias could see the flicker of torchlight winding through the jungle trails below. The tribe was hunting them. The girl sat across from him, eyes still wide with fear, but no longer crying. "My name's Elias," he said gently. "What's yours?" "Ashi," she murmured. "You Saley." She nodded. "Ship crashed. My mother, my father, all gone." Elias sighed, dragging a hand through his short-cropped hair. You shouldn't have been out here alone. I wasn't. I heard the thoughts of something calling me. It told me to walk. Then they grabbed me. He frowned. Something was calling you. She trembled. It's still out there. Angry. Sleeping. That was ominous. Elias wrapped her in a heat blanket and kept watch through the night. But unease sat heavy in his chest. The next day they reached the side of his ship. He'd set it to cloaking mode on arrival, but the systems were damaged. It would take at least an hour to fully boot the jump drive. That's when the first tremor hit. The ground shuddered. Birds scattered in screeching flocks. And from the jungle depths came a sound Elias would never forget. A deep, otherworldly moan like the planet itself was waking up. She went rigid. You said something was still out there, Elias said, eyes scanning the trees. What is it? She met his gaze, expression haunted. The old one. My kind, we were its watchers. But the crash broke the seal. Feels pain now. It's waking. And then the sky split open. A massive tendril of shadow erupted from the jungle miles away, lashing into the clouds, splitting them like tissue. Thunder boomed and lightning forked downward, burning a straight path toward the tribal village. Elias watched in stunned silence as the trees were flattened in a widening spiral. A shock wave of force sent his ship rattling. The tribe, he breathed. It's going after them. Ashi nodded solemnly. They harmed its ward. You. She nodded again. Elias grabbed her arm. We have to stop it. You can't, she said. It's too old. Too angry. Then help me. He stared at her. You said your kind were its watchers. You're the last. That means you still have a link to it, right? She hesitated. Yes, but it will destroy me too. I won't let that happen. We save the tribe, we stop the wrath. Ashi closed her eyes. When they opened again, they glowed gold. Then I will try. They flew low in the skimmer. Elias rerouted emergency power to short-hop the ship toward the destruction. By the time they arrived, the tribal village was ash and ruin. Figures ran screaming as colossal shadow limbs writhed from the cracked jungle floor, smashing huts and trees with casual fury. The old one was awakening, its true form not entirely visible in physical space. Elias could only glimpse its presence, a massive outline shimmering like heat waves, tentacles moving with a predator's rage. Ashi stepped out of the ship and walked forward barefoot, trembling but firm. She began to speak in a lilting, musical tongue, ancient Sali. The shadows paused. The tendrils halted mid-swing. She was reaching it. Then the chieftain stumbled from the wreckage, bleeding but alive. He saw her and roared with rage, lifting a spear. No! Elias shouted. The spear flew. It hit Ashi in the side and she fell. The shadow shrieked. The ground split open entirely, black smoke and blinding light erupting from the rift. The creature's scream wasn't sound, it was inside their heads. The pain was overwhelming. Elias ran to her, cradling her as blood seeped from her side. I failed, she whispered. No, you didn't. Elias looked up. You bought me time. He turned toward the writhing sky thing and activated the last resort pulse on his belt, a device meant to destabilize gravitational anomalies. The tech was experimental, but in theory it could disrupt dimensional rifts. It flared to life, glowing blue. Come on, Elias muttered, advancing. The pulse met the edge of the creature's form, and for a moment the world shook like a bell. The scream peaked, and then suddenly stopped. Silence. The limbs dissolved like mist sun.